Hey guys, this is Daniel Davis, Who Review, and welcome back to another Series 8 blog review of Doctor Who. With me again, once again, is Rhodri Coleman, LafTrack. And for this episode, it is Robot of Sherwood, written by Mark Gatiss. Now, I would say this now, out of the writers who have done Doctor Who so far, under Stephen Moffat, I would say Mark Gatiss is probably one of the best. I mean, he has written some good ones. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for him after he wrote An Adventure in Space and Time for the 50th anniversary, which was, for me, the best celebration of the 50th anniversary. So, but he's back now for Series 8 for quite a light-hearted episode.
Yeah, no, this was quite an interesting one, given it was kind of like a clash of the egos, in a sense, with Robin Hood and the Doctor.
Oh yeah, so basically, the whole plot of this story is that Clara is again travelling with the Doctor, and she's allowed to choose anywhere in the world she wants to go, and she chooses to visit Robin Hood. The only problem is, Robin Hood doesn't exist. But apparently he does, and the Doctor and Clara get embroiled in a battle with robots who are in Sherwood. So that's really mostly what happened, the basic plot. So what would you say was a interesting highlight for you?
I think the interesting thing with the whole episode is how constantly the Doctor tries to prove that Robin Hood isn't real, even like when Robin Hood shows himself.
Yeah.
And all the merry men it's how far and persistent he is to get it right.
Yeah, I will say there were some moments. I think the banter between the Doctor and Robin Hood, I think as it went on, I did feel that did start to get slightly irritating a little bit for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, with such big egos that the two have, you can kind of tell that would happen.
Yeah.
But I can see what you mean, like when it did carry on through most of the episode.
Yeah.
But honest to God, I didn't mind it.
No.
Because I got it. I understood that it was if those two were to ever meet, that kind of thing would happen.
Yeah.
They would quarrel a lot between the two.
Yeah. There were several funny lines when the Doctor and Robin Hood meet and the Doctor said, like, "Has anyone ever thought about punching you in the face yet?" And it's like, "Not yet." Yeah. So yeah, this was a really fun episode. I mean, it's got all the typical stuff you'd expect from Robin Hood. It's got Robin Hood, Little John, Friar Tuck,
all the rest of the
Sheriff of Nottingham, an archery tournament.
Yeah,
that's got to be in there. And I think let's talk about Tom Riley as Robin Hood.
I really liked his acting in this.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he was very well suited to the whole myth and legend that is Robin Hood. I think.
Yeah, I know.
His portrayal was very, very good.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people he's clearly taken inspiration for his style of Robin Hood from Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. It's got that. It has that cheese factor in the whole thing of the whole laugh thing and everything. I think he did all right. He did do justice to the character of Robin Hood, and Ben Miller,
as the sheriff.
Yeah, he was a really good interpretation of the sheriff.
Yeah, I did quite like his acting with this as well, because I know fully well that Ben Miller is quite a class actor. I've seen him in like tons of different things, like Death in Paradise and the Armstrong and Miller Show back in the day. And the way he portrayed the sheriff was as really quite dark, but also a very, very sophisticated gentleman. I did really like that.
Yeah.
Element to it.
Yeah. I did like the archery tournament.
Yeah, the archery tournament. That was a really.
That's a classic. It's a classic scene of Robin Hood. Although to be fair, because even though Robin Hood is meant to be like a master, it's meant to be like a good person in disguise. He just why does he at the
I don't get it.
He just puts a hat on.
It's just a hat.
At least in the Disney version, he actually went all out and got like a full-on disguise. You couldn't recognise him.
Yeah,
recognize him.
But with that, it was just a hat.
Yeah,
so it was just a hat.
Yeah. A lot of people have sort of got these sort of like sort of a linking with this story with other classic Doctor Who stories, because especially with the robots, people have said it's a little bit. It's a similar plot to the Time Warrior, where basically an alien comes down to this medieval society and he starts handing all the warlords weapons of future technology to win. So it has that element. I also did like there were some small references throughout the story, especially during the Doctor and Robin's duel, basically, between Robin Hood and the Doctor with a spoon. I don't know why, I was always thinking, when he said, "This is my spoon," I couldn't help but think of that moment from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Have you seen that film?
No, I don't think I have. Go on.
Basically, there's if you haven't seen the film, basically it's a scene where Alan Rickman, who was playing the sheriff of Nottingham, there's a moment where Robin Hood escapes at the beginning of the film, and he basically just screams out, "Loxley, I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon!" And it just reminded me of that scene, of that moment. Right. But also during the fighting, and he starts naming off all those people who's taught him to fight, like Richard the Lionheart, which at that point was the king of Britain at the time. But it was also a nice nod to the Crusade, which is a William Hartnell story where he actually did meet Richard the Lionheart. Even though in that story, I don't think the Doctor ever actually did do any dueling.
Oh yeah.
Also, on a note, Patrick Troughton made a cameo.
Did he?
Yeah.
When did he make a cameo? I didn't see him in that.
During that the scene when you've got when the Doctor and Robin are in the space station.
Yeah.
And they're going through all that, and they're going through all the legends of Robin Hood.
Yeah. One of them is Patrick.
For a split second, that black and white picture before the screen cuts out, that was Patrick.
Oh! I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's a clever little...
Yeah, because Patrick was the first actor to play Robin Hood on television.
Ah.
So that was quite a nice little nod.
Yeah.
So obviously we learned apparently that the robots are... It's a little bit like Deep Breath.
Yeah.
The fact that these robots are trapped.
And they're trying to get to the promised land.
Which apparently now isn't just something from these robots got from humanity, which we thought from Deep Breath.
Yeah.
The promised land actually is actually a planet. And interesting theory. What if the promised land is Gallifrey? Let me think about it. I mean, when we see the planet, it's this huge it's basically got this orange tone around it, dusk around it, and Gallifrey has this similar pattern. And because of the fact that Missy is supposedly plucking all of these people from the moment they die, so she could be a Time Lord. So maybe the Promised Land, she's actually bringing these all together to Gallifrey. For what? We don't know.
Fair enough. That seems like a good theory. That could possibly be true.
Yeah. So we get the So during that final scene between Robin and the sheriff, during the jousting scene, so basically they kill them. So basically the whole plot is that they are kidnapping all the people from the surrounding villages.
From Sherwood.
Yeah, and having them make all the
circuit breakers out of gold.
Yeah. And so at the end of it, he knocks the sheriff into the gold. We never actually know whether or not the sheriff was a robot or not.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't think.
But apparently there was.
I think. Yeah. In all fairness, I think it could have been. It could have been a robot.
Yeah.
Given that they drew through the memory banks of Robin Hood, I think that would probably be likely.
Yeah. Although to be fair, apparently there was a deleted again, they changed the ending again in this episode because of political reasons.
Yeah.
Where it would reveal that he was a robot. Where basically, I don't know how, after he falls into the pit, after he falls into the gold, he comes out, he manages to escape from the gold, and basically Robin beheads him.
Right.
And basically it would reveal that he was a robot. But apparently they cut that ending out because of recent...
because of recent things with the videos of...
Yeah,
the videos are being sent around about people getting beheaded. And
yeah, so
that's fair enough. That's understandable.
They thought that's too... We can't show that, not in this state. It's like... There were some moments where I did have to scratch my head a bit. Like that final... During that final scene when they're flying off, and they're saying, they haven't got enough gold.
And so they fire the golden arrow at it.
Yeah. All it does... I know. All it does, it just taps it. And just goes... You can just... Ding! We got full power surge. It doesn't even go into the ship. It just lightly hits it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Surely it's meant to go into the engine rooms before it can actually be fully powered up.
Yeah.
And Maid Marian at the end. Where did she come from?
I don't know. I don't know how the Doctor found her after she ran off.
I know. I was always under the impression that she was dead.
No. You could tell fully well that wasn't really, something to go on because the fact she escaped.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I was also under that impression, like sort of the myth of like Robin Hood, or maybe I'm just going by the that BBC Robin Hood TV series that was on a couple of years back, where Maid Marian was dead, and Robin was doing all this sort of as a vengeance thing against the sheriff.
Right.
So that was where I got the opinion for it. That's really...
I think that is really all you can say about the episode.
That's kind of it. There isn't really much you can say. It was just a basic, light-hearted story.
Yeah, because you know how we were saying about last week about the Dalek episode not really fitting in the place it was. This one felt like it belonged as the third episode.
Yeah, I know, because people... Because
there wasn't really that much to it, but then again, most of the episodes between 1 and 5 aren't.
Yeah, I know. You kind of need... People are saying this is an appropriate episode because it's light-hearted, you need it. As apparently it's going to be as it's sandwiched between two dark stories.
Yeah.
Because apparently the next episode looks really dark and scary. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be an interesting episode. So overall, what would you say for your opinion on this episode?
I think there's not really that much you can say about the episode. It was definitely, well timed with the way it was, brought into the show, and given, what it kind of combined with Doctor Who and then the myth of Robin Hood. I quite like the mixture of the two egos. That was like the big selling point for me. I like how they kind of squabbled between each other because they're so full of themselves in a sense.
Yeah.
And overall, I think I'd probably rate this probably a 7 or a 7.5. I think it was, because obviously it wasn't great, but then again, that's what you'd expect from episodes this far into the series. They're kind of they're not exactly the best episodes ever, but they're still quite good in their own little ways. Yeah,
I would give it a 7 as well. I mean, I did enjoy it. I did get a few good chuckles out of it, like the scene where he's scanning the merry men.
Yeah,
that gets a good laugh. So yeah, I would say this is a rather short vlog review. Let's hope the next one's going to be a bit longer as well.
And we'll see if we end up in a different place again.
Yeah. So see you next week for Listen, written by Stephen Moffat.
Till next time, everyone.
Bye bye.